carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
We are coming to you from the northeastern part of South Africa, everybody, with this magnificent sunrise. This is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome on Safari Live. We do apologize. We seem to be having some technical issues this morning with our communications, but have a look at this beautiful sunrise. What a way to start the morning. It really, really is incredible. And we've decided to try get that beautiful dead tree. It's an old knobthorn in the frame with it. And what a lovely way to start the morning. My name is Byron, and on camera with me this morning is Dave. On the other vehicle, you probably would have seen Taylor doing the pre-show drive. She's with Brian. And then we've got Louise and Kirsten in final control. It's great to have all of you with us. As I said, we have got technical issues, so I cannot hear anything from Louise at the moment in final control. We will still try to get through your questions and your comments. We're probably going to communicate with our phones, which is not ideal because there might be a bit of a delay, but we'll do our best and we'll fix it hopefully soon. But what a great way to start the morning with the sunrise. It really is fantastic, and we've been sitting here for about 10 minutes or 15 minutes just enjoying the sun coming up, listening to all the bird calls. It really has been an incredible morning. We had some ground hornbills fly over us, which was great. We heard them calling. They flew over us, and they headed off into the east. So I think what we're going to do this morning is, my plan is to try and find leopard. Possibly go and head down to where Karula left her cubs yesterday, and she left them in a bit of a drainage line and a culvert. So we're going to go see if maybe she went and fetched them. Who knows? She may have killed something, took the cubs to the kill. So we're going to head down there, see what we can find. And while we do that, Taylor, I think, is looking for lions, so she's going to be wandering around, and hopefully we'll find some lions this morning. We did hear them calling early this morning, and it sounded also like further in the east, but from what I heard, it sounded quite far. So this is going to be interesting, everyone, without the questions rolling in on a regular basis. Then I'm going to have to make up a lot or think what questions you might have for us this morning. And I'm not too sure what the temperature is this morning. It's probably around 22, 23 degrees Celsius, I would say. Dave, what do you think? Sounds about right. So I think that's around 76 to 78, possibly, somewhere around there. I think that's what the temperature is this morning. And that's, about 76, 78 Fahrenheit. 21 degrees Celsius and 70 Fahrenheit. I was close. That's all right. That's not too bad. So it's a nice cool morning, and while we're driving now, we've got a beautiful cool breeze. And so Taylor actually headed to that position where the lions were yesterday, where they had the buffalo that they were feeding on. And apparently they've moved off, so not too sure where they have gone. They are looking for them, but she said they didn't feed on much of it, or they left a lot, which was interesting, very, very interesting. And I do think that one of the reasons is probably because these lions are feeding so regularly that there's no need to stay with the carcass and finish a buffalo. I mean, it's a lot of meat there. But I think because they're feeding daily, they really are. These lions have been incredibly successful over the last little while, the last 2 weeks, I would say. So they're feeding on a regular basis, so they're staying full. So there's no need to necessarily stay with the kill and finish it completely. I'm going to constantly have to check my phone, everyone, just to see if Louise does send us a message with questions or anything. Don't forget, everyone, we are completely live and it's very interactive. So send us your questions either through Twitter at #SafariLive. Otherwise, email us questions@WildEarth.tv and we'll gladly answer your questions, and we love hearing from our viewers. And we've got a beautiful herd of impala wandering around here. Look at this, all these pregnant females. Off to our right, some big bellies there. So very soon we're going to start having some impala lambs, and there's some Nyala. Nyala with the impala, and it's almost too early to try and say that quickly. Anyway, while we continue and these impala feed on their breakfast, let's head over to Taylor so she may say good morning and find out what she's up to.
Hello and welcome, and sorry again about all the little technical difficulties we're having this morning, but we shall not let that get us down. Now, of course, my name is Taylor, and on camera with me, we'll give you another little look. We've got Brian and the Thumb. There is the Thumb. Isn't he wonderful? Such a good-looking Thumb. Is he smart again today, suit and tie?
Yeah, a little bit tired.
Oh, look at those bags under his eyes. Oh no. Needs some caffeine in his system. Well, perhaps we shall brew some pods from the weeping boerbean. What do you think, Brian? Give the Thumb some coffee. I don't know how much caffeine it has in now. Now, I hope you're all enjoying all the dramas that are going on this morning and the saga of the life in the African wilderness. I think it's quite fantastic. It sort of stirs things up a little bit. Now, I'm still looking for those lions, like I told you in the pre-drive, but I haven't seen any more sign, and Aubrey's, of course, helping me search for them, and we are doing an army sort of fan style where we're just going to check everywhere, really. And of course, I'd like to find Daryl the elephant this morning. That's also going to be on the agenda. But for now, we're just cruising around. Well, remember, if you have perhaps just joined us, welcome. And this is a live safari that you're watching at the moment. If you'd like to chat to Byron or myself, you're welcome to either #SafariLive, or you can even send us an email at questions@wildearth.tv. Now, unfortunately, we haven't quite established communication just yet, so we're still using these wonderful devices to just chat to the lovely ladies in Final Control. So every now and then you shall see me checking my cellular device, really. Oh, we have a question. Now I need to read the question. This is lovely. Good morning, Judy H. Have you seen the close encounter videos that Wild had with Daryl the elephant? I think I have. I think actually Louise showed me as I arrived, and I found that quite interesting. The naughty Daryl, that you got to be careful with him. But luckily for me, he was always quite kind to me, and I spent at least a couple of hours with him every day. Sometimes on game drive, he would join me in sightings, or I'd find him, and of course I'd make an effort to go up and say hello. Otherwise, what else did he do? Like I said, he used to visit us at the swimming pool and our staff accommodation. He loved that. He came there for a drink once a day if he wasn't harassing the guests at the lodge. He loved to eat all the succulents out of the garden, out of the Zen garden. So he was constantly between the spa, the wellness center, and of course the lodge. And it was interesting because it meant that the guests needed to be escorted around a lot because he wasn't afraid, but he also wasn't particularly bothered by people. So if you gave him a bit of room, you could walk past and he wouldn't even turn and look at you, which can be a bit nerve-wracking, especially for the guests, because I think sometimes people would get this false sense of security, and we were always worried that somebody was going to push their luck and try and get too close, and then, well, he's a big elephant. He probably stands at about 5 tons at least. He's quite large. Well, then that would be a problem, of course, but he never ever gave us any problems as far as I'm aware. So we could probably go back to around towards the gate and have a look and see if we can find him. Now, at the moment, there doesn't seem to be any animals around. We're searching. And we'll also be looking for any leopard tracks or any footprints of any animals of interest. But nothing so far. We did see a couple of ground hornbills, though, flying around this morning, but they flew away. They obviously got what they needed and then off they went. Now I'm just trying to get a game plan I'm trying to figure out where these lions have gone. Now, we've obviously been hearing us chatting about these animals, and we have names for them, and I know that Melinda was wondering, how do the animals get names? So Melinda, there's no sort of set process, especially with things like the elephants or an impala that's got one horn. We just give them little comical names and stuff. Daryl, for example, this was a different story. Daryl lived outside a set of guests that I had. He lived outside their room for 3 days, and they absolutely loved him. Now, I don't know what they're thinking of, where the name Daryl came from. We did have one of the chefs, his name was Daryl, so I don't know if they named him after Daryl the chef. But he just got that name, and then, well, he's been around for many, many years, and people have been seeing him for a very long time, and that he didn't have a name, and this name is really now just stuck. And everybody calls him Daryl, except up here. I think James needs a little bit of convincing, but perhaps if he gets to know him as well as I do, he'll see that really he is a Daryl. I don't know if I could call him anything else. Anyway, let's see. Now, I'm just trying to think. We might just quickly do a little check along the boundary, perhaps, if Byron hasn't already done that. And the reason for that is, well, we don't know where Karula went. I know Byron said he wanted to try and follow up on Karula. So perhaps we'll go towards Triple M, back towards the gate, so still keeping Daryl in our plan. And then maybe we will check for Shadow. I can't remember exactly where Shadow was. I just remember that she was just off of Triple M. But I don't know if she'll still be there. That was a very small kill that she had, and I'm sure that she ate the rest of it last night. But we will check. Maybe we'll see her footprints or something along those lines. Right, just reading another question quickly. Now, of course, as you know, I'm very much fond of the Nkahumas and my favorite little girl with the floppy ear. Now, Jason was wondering if I knew that little cub had been named Flip Flop. Now, Byron, I don't know if Flip Flop is a deserving name, so I'm trying to find out what the Shangaan word or Tsonga word for sort of naughty or cheeky, mischievous, because I think that describes her very well, and her personality, or feisty, something along those lines. So I did ask Amanda, our wonderful chef who cooks all the delicious food for us, and she told me a name, but I've forgotten it now, so I shall have to write it down and then let you know. And it sounded quite cool. It sounded something like along the lines of almost Delilah, which I thought was quite nice, but it's obviously a Shangaan word. It's not that, and I'm not going to try and pronounce it, because I know James will get very upset with me if I do something like that and I don't get it pronounced correctly. So I'm just checking. No more questions just yet. Right, let's see what we've got around over here. You know what we've been actually seeing a lot of lately? Oh, hello Jigger and your fantastic squeaky brakes, is these dung piles from the elephants. I just wanted to show you. Look at that, and that's beautiful because it's got the lovely golden light at the moment. Oh, hi, just turn my game drive radio off. Now, isn't that the most well backlit dung pile you've ever seen in your life? Now, I just want to tell you, normally we see these little balls of dung. And you can see that the dung beetles have been working their magic, coming out in the summer months. and turning it from a big ball into these sort of long, flat piles of dung. And over time, eventually this will completely disappear. And I just think it's so interesting how that in the... Sorry, there's an elephant walking down the road to us and I got excited, but it's not Daryl. So in the summer months, of course, you've got the dung beetles and the termites working very hard. But of course, the termites really take over the role in the winter months. Look at this beautiful elephant bull. Let's go and position ourselves. Sadly, it's not Daryl, but I think we can have a quick look at him. Maybe he's seen Daryl. Perhaps it's Daryl's cousin or a younger brother. We'll never really know. We'll just give him lots of room and wait for him. I'm just going to drop down. Now, I've got a bit of a tree in the way, but he'll probably just walk past us, but we'll give him a bit of space. It's always good to give these animals space. Now, he's not nearly as big as Daryl. You can see his tusks are much smaller, but he's relatively big in size, but I think he's much younger. So I reckon he's probably just coming into his 30s. He seems mature. You can see the secretion coming from his temporal glands. Now that could also be an indication that he's possibly coming into must. It doesn't look like it though. I don't see any sort of staining between his back legs. But that also shows an overstimulation of adrenaline. So it could be that he's stressed, it could be that he's excited. So I'm just going to sit up here. Hello, big boy. And we'll see what he gets up to. Hi, big man. It's okay, big boy. How are you this morning? He's a gentle giant. Hey, big boy. No, not today, thank you. You can just carry on with your day. He's so big that Brian can't even fit him into shot. Isn't that amazing? Oh, and you know what? He's coming into must. As he walked past like that, it's still the very, very early stages though. So you're right, he was very relaxed with us. He just had a little look. And I think what happens is that because we've got this big antenna on the back of the vehicle, is that often these animals get a little bit, not a fright, but they're like, oh, what's that? Oh, okay, it's not moving, it's okay. But as he walked past us and we got the wind blowing back down towards us, I got this very, very musky smell. So I think it's the very early stages. Perhaps in the next couple of weeks or so he's going to be in full must. And then, well, we'll be keeping away from him. So we won't follow him and harass him anymore. Let's just check to see what Louise would like to do. Okay, so we'll leave him. Bye, Mr. Elephant. And that was fantastic and lovely, and he walked away. Didn't show any signs of aggression. It was quite nice, and of course, well, I've now got the stench of that musty smell up my nose. What about you, Brian? But you quite like that smell, don't you? Yes, Brian's told me a couple of times that you've enjoyed it. I wondered, does the thumb enjoy it? Always. This is actually the thumb's favourite smell, musk. Now, of course, not must. It's a musky smell, but they go into must. Let's go this way. Perhaps we'll go check around here. We're really just having a little check and driving. I think Byron's probably looking at some tracks. That's always a nice way to start the day. Seeing a lovely elephant bull. I'm also going to just check here. Oh my goodness, I've heard a little voice in my ear. That must mean that the radio is working. Let me just turn that down a little bit. It was very loud. Wonderful. Isn't that exciting that after all this time, finally, we're back up in action and in working order again? Well, that's exciting. Well done, Connor, who I'm pretty sure has fixed the problem, whatever it may have been. So kudos to you. But now I can also put my cell phone down, which is quite refreshing, because it felt very strange sort of trying to drive and talk. And I mean, it's one thing trying to do it on the highways at 120 kilometers an hour, or however fast you'd like to travel. But I even find it challenging to try and do that when we're only just going a couple of kilometers an hour. Did you see something, Brian? Now, where is everyone else? Animals must wake up. Oh, put my clip back in my hair. Oh, let's turn the game drive radio on. I can hear someone is talking. Let's see what they have to say. I've got to...
Okay, copy. The last thing of Shaloma, where she was going when you guys saw her yesterday.
It seems as though they're talking about leopards, and I know that Byron is going to be on the leopards this morning, so perhaps he's listening. We're going to continue looking for what we've set out today, and we're not going home until we find Daryl or the Nkahumas this morning. I've made up my mind. Louise, did you hear that? I'm not stopping until those animals are found. Louise says fantastic. Okay. Now we need to get serious. And it was lots of sort of animals going around just as we were driving through quarantine. There was a whole herd of elephants that had seemed to have gone through there that last night. Hippopotamus and buffalo and zebra and of course the impala. It was all happening on quarantine last night. Let's see if they're still talking about leopard. There's still lots of talking going on.
Copy, thank you.
Yeah. Let's see any updates on the Nkahumas. Okay, copy. Oh, what was that? No, wrong radio. Sorry, I'm being attacked by flies as we're driving along. Now, I heard these babblers, but they've gone quiet now. Oh, there they are. They're so sneaky. Look at that beautiful sky anyway. The babblers are quite quick, but they're hopping around making lots and lots of noise. I thought we should maybe try and stop and say hello to them. Here you go. You can see them bouncing around. Making, like I said, much noise, which is why they're, of course, called babblers. Shouting about. There's an entire flock of them flying around here, and they're probably doing that to declare their territory. They're quite territorial birds. You often see them chasing all sorts of other things away. Now, Clay from Oregon, you were asking this morning if I thought that, if I remember now, if I thought that there were more animals early in the morning. Is that correct, Louise? Sorry, I got very distracted by the babblers. Yes, sorry, Clay. So you were wondering if the animals are waking up earlier in the morning or they're late risers. Now, it's quite an amazing balance that the animals just sort of go, oh, a Black Bellied Bustard. I'll get to your question, I promise. I'm just getting so distracted by the birds. Look at this. Hello. Is it, or is it oh my goodness, now I'm getting confused between them and the red-crested coron. But it looks like a bustard. Very, very obviously prominent black belly, and also the marking on the back of the head. But let me just double check myself, because now I can't, I have to be 100% sure, of course, and I feel as though I haven't seen these birds in such a long time. Yes, it is, I'm correct. But it's always good to double check yourself. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And this is a male. Now it's quite easy to tell that it's a male. You see that marking on the back of its head? That black and the white, the very prominent white. That's very typical. The females aren't quite as colourful. Now, won't you do your call for us? Because that would be quite special. And it just seems to have woken up and sort of feeding. So, sorry, Clay, let me get back to your question again. Now, I definitely think that at the moment, it's like at 4 o'clock almost, I'm starting to hear the birds all chatting away and waking up. And of course, oh, look, watch. Oh, did you see that? doing its call. Normally we just hear it. It's not very often that you actually get to see it. That was beautiful. Oh, well, and that definitely confirms that it's a Black Bellied Bustard. The fact that it sounds like a champagne cork popping out of the bottle. Let's see if he does it again. I think he may. So I think as he's going through here, he's also perhaps scouring for a female to try and impress. Calling is a way of advertising that he is in the area, and this area is occupied. Now that would be an amazing nest to find. So Clay, we will try this for a 4th time now. Oh, breakfast. As the birds wake up, they do that beautiful call. The chorus, of course, it's starting to get earlier and earlier, but it does continue. Like I can still hear the birds still going. And that normally signals to sort of start the clock again. And I reckon that the other animals hear this, and I think that's almost when that light just starts to rise at first light, before the sun has even peered over the horizon. The aardvark and the porcupine and all the other nocturnal creatures then start to descend and go back to their homes and sort of go and rest, and then we'll wait again until the next chorus, and then, well, the whole process starts again. Impala, kudu, most of them are all up before we are even up, just before the first light. They're all already up and feeding away, which is quite nice. It's really just at the middle of the night that you could catch them sleeping for a little bit, but they don't rest for too long. Right, I believe that Byron is back in his vehicle and ready to go, so let's go across and say good morning again.
Good morning again, Taylor. We are back in the vehicle. I did see tracks of Karula and her 2 cubs, everyone. I'm checking this area very, very carefully and trying to see. It looks like she headed north further on to Djuma, but I'm having a look along this road, and if I don't see anything coming out, probably going to head back towards those tracks and maybe track a little bit. But look what is in front of us here. Beautiful giraffe. And I can hear the ground hornbills, everyone. Remember I said when we started the show, I told you that they flew over us this morning. And I can hear them now. They've probably landed somewhere. And let's see if we can hear them. Let's see if we can hear them. Can you hear them at all, I wonder? I'm not hearing them. A bit too far, I think, just out of earshot for you. How beautiful is this giraffe? We had that lovely silhouette earlier. Just a nice silhouette of a giraffe against the sunrise. It really makes for a wonderful, wonderful picture. And I enjoy photographing silhouetted giraffe. There's a cacophony of bird calls going on at the moment. There are hornbills, there are franklins, there are ground hornbills, there's starlings. There's so much going on at the moment, so many bird calls. It really is fantastic. It's a beautiful morning. It's so nice, so refreshing, because it's still got quite that cool temperature, so it really is fantastic. Oh, little slender mongoose just ran across the road. X-Ranger said if I am ever at a loss for something to say, I should just do a bird impression. I'll remember that. Thank you, X-Ranger. So while I'm driving now, I'm having a close look at the road for any signs of the female's tracks or Karula's tracks with the cubs. We'd think it would be easy to spot 3 leopard tracks, but alas, it is not. But we'll see. We'll see what we come up with. I enjoy this. I enjoy this tracking, trying to find out, work out where did these animals go during the evening. Did they hunt? Were they successful? So it is very, very exciting, and it builds up the anticipation of potentially finding these leopards, who we know are very secretive and who are not easy to find. I'm hoping that some of the other animals help us. Maybe we get alarm calls from impala or birds, squirrels, you never know. Anything like that alarm calls will help alert us to where these leopards are. And if I find them, I will be very, very happy this morning. Sorry, and then of course your eyes start playing tricks on you when you're looking for something specific, and you think you see something that's not really there. But it's always, and I always say this to guests, because often we'll be driving, guests go, stop, they've seen something, and have a look, and it ends up being perhaps a log or a little termite mound. It looks like something lying in the grass. And they're very apologetic, but there's nothing to apologize for. It's a case of, if you don't really have a look, you might miss something. So never say sorry if you think you spot something and it's not that. And Jeremiah, you would like to know what is the strangest animal I've seen during a safari? The strangest? Let me think. So just scanning around, there are a lot of impala dotted around this area, so I highly doubt Karula is walking through this area with her cubs. They'd most likely alarm call and give us a clue that she was around. Jeremiah, strangest animal I've ever seen. Does James count? No, I'm joking. Strangest animal on a safari. I would say an aardvark or a pangolin. Now those aardvarks, it's also known as ant bears in some areas, but the aardvark, let me show you a picture quickly. Just let me stop here and just show you, because they are very strange, and they do look quite weird. So let me see if I can find a picture of one quickly for you. There we go. Look at that animal. Isn't that strange? Long ears, long pointed snout. So for us here in Africa, this is one of the strangest animals. Well, I suppose it's all relative, I don't know, but it's because they are so rare, so you don't see them very often. I've been fortunate, I've guided people in another area, another part of South Africa, where these are, I wouldn't say common, but the chances of seeing them are very, very good. And I've seen quite a few aardvark, which is really nice, but that's probably the strangest animal I've seen. That and the little pangolin, the little scaly anteater. They also look quite prehistoric, so I'd have to say those two animals, but I think the aardvark wins a little bit. Still don't see any signs of these leopards coming through this area. We're going to carry on searching very, very carefully. I'd love to find Karula this morning and see what she got up during the evening. I know she did leave those cubs, but when we got back there now, I saw their tracks around there, so they were moving. And I did take a walk, didn't see any sign of them, but I'm probably going to head back down there and quickly have a look and see where those tracks go. While I do that, Taylor's got some more elephant for you to see.
Now, our plan is to also just keep checking every single elephant that we're going to see today and make sure if it's Daryl or not. Now, unfortunately, this is not Daryl. He's not big enough in body size, and he hasn't got big enough tusks either. And this is a different one from what we saw earlier. There's actually a couple here. It looks like there's about 5 elephant bulls on quarantine, so we're going to have a look. We'll have a quick look now, and then we're going to move forward. I just want to see something. I've just seen a bird that's caught my attention. Brian, that marula that's straight down there, can you see on the left at the bottom of the tree there's a little bird? Now I think it might be a roller. I think it was a roller. It is. Okay. It was a roller. I got excited because I heard it making a strange noise, and I wondered if it wasn't one of the cuckoos as it was flying. But it isn't. You can see it's a lilac-breasted roller. Waking up, out looking for some breakfast today. Good morning. And of course, warming up in that sun as well, which birds often like to do. It was quite chilly last night. I even had to put a jersey on when I walked down to the vehicles this morning, which is unusual, as it's been so hot. It's either been no jersey or a rain jacket. But yes, it's going to be very hot again today. But should we go and check the next elephants? I think so. Let's, because I'm very excited now. We're going to go around the corner. Like I said, there's about 5 of them here, so we're 1 down. We've got 4 to go to check. Now, I don't know if I'm feeling too optimistic just yet. The reason why is because they don't look big enough, and I haven't seen any that have got particularly large tusks. I'm also just checking for lion tracks, but it doesn't look like it. We may have to go the long way around, I suspect. We'll try and have a look from this side, and if not, we'll go all the way around and check the boys. We just need to find a gap. Just pull off slightly. There's another elephant. That doesn't look like Daryl either. He hasn't got a bell shape in his ear, as you can see. And also Daryl's tusks sort of point towards the ground. I don't know if you noticed that. They're quite straight. So hopefully as he gets bigger, they're going to almost reach the ground. Maybe he's got that beautiful genetic that brings out the lovely tusks. But they're very happily feeding at the moment. And it's nice to see the bulls. We've been seeing so many elephants, and of course in the breeding herds. We haven't seen any particularly large bulls. Now, I think out of the bulls I've seen so far, I think Daryl's going to be the biggest. And I don't think anyone really realizes how big he actually is. But let's go around again. We've got to go all the way around, I suspect. Or do you think it'll be quicker, Brian, if we go back this way? I think it will be quicker, hey? Let's go. We'll go back the way we came so we can jump onto Vuyatela access. And I think they're quite close to that junction, somewhere around there. And we're just going to have to take it easy today. And luckily now Taxon has also joined in on the search to try and find the lion. So that will give us an opportunity, of course, to search for Daryl. Oh, we can say a quick hello to a giraffe as well. It's all happening on quarantine this morning. Maybe it was the same one you saw with Byron. I'm not actually sure, but we'll say hello and have a quick look. Hello. This looks like a female. Of course, I'm able to tell that by the long black tufts of hair that you see on her Aussie cones. Every time I think of that, I think of Byron. And apparently so does she. And she looks like she's got a rather sort of round belly. What do you think, Brian? Does look like she could have a little calf inside her. Well, I suppose there's nothing really little about a giraffe calf. And this is something that I've actually been fortunate enough to see. I've seen a giraffe giving birth before. Can you believe it? When I first started studying to be a guide, came across the corner. We were out on a drive in the morning, and we found this giraffe all on her own, and we thought she looked a bit she was behaving quite strange, and well, the next minute she started giving birth. And we sat there for about an hour and a half, and it was absolutely incredible. Then once the calf had dropped, the mother then started to clean the little one up, and what was even more incredible was as the little calf dropped, the rest of the herd came around. And unfortunately, I didn't have a camera in those days, and I didn't have a very good cell phone, so I couldn't really get any photos. We also kept our distance. And then they all came round, and they started licking the little one, and eventually it stood up and started walking. Isn't that amazing? I got to see the entire process. She seemed to have a little itch there, but not too itchy, just a quick scratch. Now she's actually got quite a nice sort of vantage point here. You can see her scanning down into the distance, and as we know, the giraffe have got phenomenal eyesight. So perhaps there are a couple of other giraffe around here, and that's what she's looking for. Or maybe she's just looking for her next tree that she's going to feed on. Yes. Or maybe both. Looks like she's feeding on a paper thorn acacia. Flaky thorn, not paper thorn. Now, Lilani, you're wondering what has been my favorite sighting. There's so many. I've had from, being quite gory, of course, with the lions, to incredible things like seeing births, and of course, amazing experiences with the elephants that have just been incredible. And I think I've told most of the elephant stories. I've got a couple more. Now, I'm just trying to think, what is my absolute favorite? I think it has to be, I'm going to actually say that sighting we had the other afternoon, when it was quite sad, of course, because that young buffalo calf was taken down. It was the one that happened just above the dam, where the Djuma Cam is. And we saw those little lions attempting to take down that buffalo, which is something that I've never seen before. You roll back slightly. Sorry, just so you can see her face again. There it is. So that, Lilani, was probably one of the most amazing and incredible things to see. How little cubs of only a couple of months old have already learnt such important sort of behavior and hunting strategies. Remember that one cub sort of jumped up and put its paws on the rump of that buffalo as it was trying to stand up and make another escape, and then it leapt up on its back. To be so young and to be able to have so much power and muscle tone already that it was able to do that, to me, that was just unbelievable. And I don't know if I'll ever see anything like that soon, especially in a hurry, or I think it'll probably be a couple of years' time before I'm able to see something like that again. So to me, I think that is probably one of the most special sightings that I've ever had. She's a beautiful girl, though. But let's carry on, though. Let's not get too distracted from our search of Daryl and then kahumas. Now we're going to check another elephant. He's coming out now. This is one of the other bulls that I was telling you about. We'll see him pop out in a moment. Actually, he's going so quickly, I might actually have to wait here and get a glimpse of him. Or you can sort of see him. It's quite difficult. He's far away. He's at that marula now, feeding on a guarri. That doesn't look like Daryl either. That looks even smaller than the two elephants we've just looked at. Okay. We will leave him and we'll continue. We're going to go around, and there's a couple more down that way. Come out, wherever you are, Daryl. I'm going to find you. Now, it may seem that I'm getting too excited about Daryl, but like I said, when you start to spend time with these animals, like we form bonds, of course, with the kahumas and the various leopards. It's quite amazing, and I had a special bond with Daryl. I used to sit outside my windowsill, and it would just be sort of same time, and he'd come walking past, and he'd feed, and then he'd go and drink from the swimming pool. I saw him every single day, if not twice a day. So, and I've told everybody, I bet Louise and Kirsty and everybody is so sick of me talking about Daryl, but I love him. I love him just as much as I love the kahumas, possibly even more though, because I've known him for a little bit longer. He's my long lost friend. And I haven't seen him for 2 months since I've been up here, so I'll be very excited. But let's go check the elephants down this way. Okay, we start to see them in the distance. We're getting there. Now we drive around quite a bit. I find as though I think I drove a little bit more when I had guests, and I know Crystal was wondering what's sort of the average distance that we drive on a game drive. It's not very much, so they reckon, Brian, how was your conversion to miles? Yeah, it's like mine, hey? Yeah. So I think it's 2.2 kilometers to a mile. No, 1.6. Should we do maths? Let's do maths, because I want to get it right. So, Krista, I'm going to tell you now. So the average game drive is probably about 56 miles. Does that sound right to you? No, I've got to divide it, don't I? Yes. Or do I times it? No, that's too much. No, I did it wrong. I apologize. I'm supposed to divide. So about 20, even there, maybe about 20 miles or so, maybe a bit more than that, to about 25 miles, somewhere around there. It just depends. I'll never forget the one day I did a game drive. I did a loop around the lodge. That's it. For 3.5 hours, I just did a loop around the lodge. Okay, here we've got two more elephants. I need to just get in front quickly. We can see we're going past him, but I'll tell you why now. I want to look at him front on, but just from that little sneaky side view that we just got, I'm not convinced. Alright, up we go, the little slip road, and then we'll get the nice light on him as well, which will be quite nice. It is beautiful light so early in the morning. There we go. We're just readjusting, of course, because quarantine is not flat. There's a serious gradient. This is not who we're looking for. But he's another elephant that's very easy to identify by his broken right tusk, and we're looking at him, it's our left, of course. Now that's quite distinct. Now perhaps he's done that. Maybe he was boxing with some other elephants and got a bit too rough and snapped his ivory off. But he also looks fairly young. Now, I've been chatting about, and of course I'm sure some of you saw the video about Daryl drinking from the swimming pool. I know Lauren was a little bit concerned, wondering how do the animals drink from the swimming pools and not get sick? Oh, well, one elephant was shouting and didn't like something. Now, Lauren, I've seen so many different animals drinking from pools, from giraffe to impala to kudu and bushbuck, even a hyena. Sorry, I must learn to say that correctly. And elephants, of course. Lots of different things. Now, we do obviously put chlorine in the pool. But when we're swimming around in the pool, we drink a bit of chlorine too. And I'm sure your dogs at home drink chlorine as well. A little bit of pool water. And I don't think that there's enough chlorine in that water to poison them. The animals are intelligent. Remember, elephants prefer to drink fresh water and will often break open pipes, which we've seen at the Djuma dam before, as well as them digging for fresh water in the dry riverbeds. So they drink it, and maybe it does their system a bit of good, maybe it flushes it out. But I know that when I'm in the pool, I do drink quite a bit of water, and it never seems to really harm me. The only thing it does is it dries my skin out quite a bit. So they won't drink something if it's not good. And we've seen animals drinking water from pools of water that have been polluted by hippo urine and feces and buffalo urine and feces, and they'll quite happily still drink that. And I think that there's probably a lot more bacteria in pools of water like that rather than a pool that's got crystal clear water and a touch of chlorine to it. So I don't think it's too bad. It's a question that actually comes up quite often. Now, if Daryl was here with these young elephant bulls, they would probably be following him around, and I reckon he'd be like a mentor to these bulls. They're not particularly old, and the fact that they're also hanging around in a group is an indication that they're younger. Generally, the younger bulls do that, and as they get older, they sort of get their independence, like that big bull we saw this morning, and they also sort of live a life of solitary. And I haven't seen too many bachelor herds in here in this sort of area. The biggest bachelor herd I think I saw, which was quite big, was about 20. But up in Zambia it was very common. You'd see about 50 boys just together, all traveling, moving around the plains, which was quite amazing. Now, I'm hearing a lot of chatter on the radio, so I suppose we should maybe have a quick little listen. Let's just check. Aubrey for Taylor. Did you pick up any more tracks?
Negative. That is the one after our different distributed. I hope not be this. I don't go east and go to
Okay, copy. Thanks very much. Okay, so just quickly checking. It seems as though they haven't had any more luck with the lions. And I think what we'll do is let's go check towards the gate very quickly. And then just to see if we can see where Daryl's footprints went. But that is a busy section, so I'm also wondering if we're going to even see any footprints, but we'll give it a bash. And then we're going to go and drive around where that buffalo carcass is, because there's no more tracks, so maybe they're just lying in some very thick bush, perhaps in the drainage line. It's okay, big boy, but we'll have a quick look at this beautiful Ellie now. Again, just as he's happily feeding, and it looks like he's actually on the way to the DRC. He's standing at the entrance now, so they may find a visitor. And because these young elephant bulls are quite curious and they sort of don't have too much fear, I wonder if he's not going to go into the garden and try and eat all the lovely plants that are there, all the succulents and all those delicious things. Louise says that they will be careful and keep an eye out for him. But he will be alright. That's the only thing though, is when these big gentle giants come through the lodges, they don't mean any harm. They just want to eat all the nice plants that we water and all the time, and obviously they taste delicious, and they don't always find them out in the bush, because often the most delicious plants are always eaten first. But it's when you trap them in sort of a confined area. But remember, they're also big and strong, and if they do feel that they need to race away, a tiny little metal fence is not going to stop an elephant. They will push it over. And they also like to push gates over, which I think you saw as well at Inga's, where Brent and Jamie stay, how they pushed the fence in. Isn't that lovely? Well, we're going to continue the search for either the Nkuhumas or Mr. Daryl. Let's go across to Byron and see how the search for Karula is going.
So everyone, we're back in that area that we had the tracks, and unfortunately it looks like Karula has possibly just moved south of our boundary. We're on the Gowrie cut line at the moment, and I think it's by the sounds of things she's moved south. And we saw tracks, and then one of the other vehicles is in this area, and they've gone to check. They said they can see fresh tracks of this female with the youngsters. So I'm just scanning very carefully, because you never know, we might get a glimpse of her, and she may decide to bring the cubs back up in this area. So let's just have a look here for a little bit. Now the car is coming. So I just want to move out the way of for the other vehicle. So that's how it works sometimes. We have a look at these tracks and try and find and follow these leopards. It's not always easy, but if it was easy, then it wouldn't quite be a wild African experience. And I saw some really nice leopard tracks just off to the side here. I wonder if I can show you where they are. There we go. That's actually, you know what, Dave, we might get a nice view of these tracks over here. Right up against that bank there, I can see two very clear tracks. Let me show you. There we go. Alright, let me jump off quickly and show you, everyone. Need a stick. There we go. Can you see here? Can you all see that? Very clear. So nice, eh, Dave? Yeah. You can see these two very clear leopard tracks in the embankment. Now, to be honest, the ground around here is quite hard already. So these are not fresh tracks. It's one of the signs you can tell if they're fresh or not. But if I can show you on this very clear one over here, you can see the 1, 2, 3, 4 toes of the leopard. And then this is the back pad. So like the palm of our hands, that's the back pad over there. And it's a nice, very round track. So it makes it quite easy to identify a leopard track. And this leopard's walked up here. It's come all the way up here. But like I said, these are not fresh. The ground's quite hard already. So it's not very fresh tracks. But possibly from a day or two ago. I think after we had some of that rain, that may have softened the soil a bit. Just having a look where these other guys have gone, because I do think they may have spotted that leopard just south of a boundary. So let's have a look. It's starting to warm up a little bit now, which is nice. I think he's just driven straight down the drainage line. Don't see them, so possibly had this leopard move further down, which is unfortunate, but it's the way it goes. Maybe they get lucky and they see it. Can you see them? Let's scan quickly. No, I really don't see anything at the moment. Anyway, let's carry on. Let's have a look around here. We're going to go up the Mulwati, this dry riverbed, and see what we can find. It's nice and cool down here. Leopold, you have mentioned something interesting, and you say that you've heard that wolf tracks leave a scent behind. Oh, look at this. Yeah. I actually heard this big guy earlier. Come here. There's a beautiful big dung beetle. Look at that, everyone. Oh, look at that massive dung beetle. Oh, you want to take off? How cool is that? And off he went. Large, very large dung beetle. He was catching a ride with us. So Leopold, you say you heard that wolf tracks leave a scent behind. Is it the same with big cats? I don't think we'd be able to smell it, but I am certain that they do leave a scent behind, because if you watch how big cats follow and find each other, they'll sniff around the whole time, and they'll sniff on the tracks where those leopards or lions, whatever big cats, have walked around, and they do follow and then find each other that way. So I do think there is a bit of scent left from the tracks, and I think what happens though is it's because probably when they urinate, they'll often scratch their paws through the urine or scrape open the sand and urinate and try and cover it again, or what they do is they try and reveal very, very fresh soil, and the reason for that is the scent will last longer. But I think with that scratching, they probably get some of that scent on their paws, and while they're walking they leave the scent. So I think that's what would happen, Leopold. Wouldn't it be wonderful to find a leopard in this drainage line now? And Clay, in Oregon, you said there seem to be a lot of vehicle tracks, and is this a popular tourist spot? Okay, this is a popular tourist destination, but the vehicle tracks that you can see are left by us. This is a private game reserve. It's not open to the public unless you book into the lodges. So you cannot just come and drive around here by yourself in your own vehicle. You have to book into one of the lodges as a guest, and all these vehicle tracks you can see are purely from the game drive vehicles or the safari vehicles, which take the guests out with the guides. That's these tracks that you can see. I'm having a careful look in this drainage line. You never know, maybe the leopards played a prank on the other guys and crossed back into this area. You never know. I love driving through these drainage lines, and always looking for birds like owls. You get these owls sitting in the dark trees. Last time I was here, which was in June, I had a lot of luck finding giant eagle owls in this area, but I haven't heard them since I've been back, so I'm not sure where they are. Or a red-chested cuckoo, everyone, I can hear it. Yep. I wonder, let's see if we can find it. Is that not it at the top there? No, that's a dove. Oh, I can hear him, everyone. It's so close. Sounds like it's sitting in the same tree. That's the dove. That's the beautiful Cape turtle dove or ringneck dove. And the cuckoo, which I'm sure you can all hear, sounds like it's calling in that tree, but I can't see it. It was so secretive. Let's go a little bit closer. Leilani, you asked what my favorite bird is to see. I love seeing a martial eagle. It's a very large, beautiful eagle. That's probably my favorite bird, but out here there's so many beautiful birds. I just enjoy birding in general, Leilani. I think it's... Oh, there's another bird calling. Oh, and he sounds like he's right above us somewhere. This cuckoo is here, and I can't see it. Can you hear that other bird calling now, everyone? It's called a black cuckoo. So we've got the red-chested cuckoo and the black cuckoo. Now the black cuckoo has got that beautiful call we can hear now. It's going... Listen, everyone. Hear that? Oh, there we go. They describe it as saying it's going, I'm so sad, I'm so sad. Shame, I feel sorry for the bird. I hope it's not sad. I don't think so. Come on, Dave, we've got to find one of these cuckoos.
Yeah.
Aaron in New Zealand, do you want to know how good my Hardy-Dar impression is? Aaron, I will try and do it for you a little bit later. Let's, I don't want to scare off all the wildlife just yet. Okay. He's in this tree and we must find him. Hang on, everyone. Let me see if I whistle if he returns a call. There it goes. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. It just flew off. Dark tranquility, you say. It's saying, I'm so glad, as opposed to sad. I think that's perfect. It just flew off. It was sitting right at the back of the tree. But they're incredibly difficult birds to see. These cuckoos are so secretive. And you can hear them. They've all got wonderful calls, and it's easy to identify them by the call, but to see them is not easy at all. But that was the black cuckoo, everyone, that we were looking for. Now the hardy-dar. Aaron, your hardy-dar call. Oh dear. Aaron, we're going to head to Taylor for an update, and let me work on my hardy-dar call.
Byron, that's a challenge I'm willing to do. We'll do hardy-dar calls. But first, look whose footprints I've got. Now, I'm going to jump out, so I apologize. I'm going to block the screen quickly, but I want to show you. I'm very excited. Let's just put my cable in my pocket and chase the flies away. Now, let's go this side. And I need a stick, of course. Very important tools while you're in the bush. Now, you can see this massive footprint, which I'm going to stand in now. I fit both my feet, and I am a size 6 US shoe, or 6.5, somewhere around there. It's a big elephant's footprint, but you can't tell by, remember how I've been telling you about these elephants and how you're able to tell the size of an elephant's tusks by the scoring on the tree. Now you can see, you can look at a footprint, and it can be a big footprint. But it looks like it was from last night. There's a couple of little tracks going through here. This maybe looks like it could be one of the birds, possibly maybe scavenging just before the sun went down, foraging. And if you look here, that's the toe. So that's the toes that we're seeing over there. That's how I know that it's going that way. That's the direction that we need to go in order to find, of course, this elephant. There's lots of Shongololo tracks, the millipede tracks, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, and a couple of other tracks going all the way around here. But that was the best track that Daryl left. Now I know it was Daryl's track because, well, he was here last night feeding. James said he was right at the gate. We've picked them up. Let's go around and have a look, and let's hope that he's still on Djuma somewhere. So I'll try and track them for as long as I can, but it seems as though someone's been driving here. So I think these footprints are going to turn into sort of half tracks. Let's see, or maybe he veered off. No, hang on. Nope, still got them. So I'm just going to focus on the road for the moment. But let me know if you see a big elephant though. That would also help. Now, they can travel quite a fair distance though. So he could have moved right out of the area by now, but we'll just have a little scan around here. Don't you see any elephant tracks your side? I don't. Let's just check here. No, I think the tracks go here. Because I don't see anything going that way. So maybe he just turned off the road slightly. Now, speaking about, hang on, so we're actually going to go the other way around. I think he's cut through this block. There was some water back there, but I'm just double checking myself. I think he must have just crossed straight over the road. So Ginny, you were saying, what would we do if that elephant fell into the swimming pool? No ways. Is this him? Is this Daryl? Yes, it's Daryl! Daryl, I'm so excited! Hi, Daryl! Come to us? Okay, Jenny, let me answer your question very quickly. Yay! I can't tell you, my heart is pounding. It's like going on a date for the first time. That's how I feel right now. So excited. This is Daryl. You can see by I call it a bell that he has in his ear. But Jenny, so if Daryl, that we're looking at now, fell in the swimming pool, because it's a man-made item, we would have to intervene. We'd probably have to drain the swimming pool, because I don't know if he'd be able to get out on the steps. And then you probably have to dart him and sedate him, and then get a tractor or a crane or something to try and lift him out, which would be obviously quite difficult. But the elephants know that it's a drop. You often see them sticking their trunks way down, and they can feel how deep it is. And they won't just walk into something that's a steep drop unless they somehow were running and they didn't realize that it was there, and then they fell over and fell into the pool. But they're more intelligent than that. So same thing with a buffalo would never go in there. A rhino would never go in there. A hyena would never jump in there. They would actually see that it is very deep and possibly there's no entrance or exit. They don't know how to go up steps like we know how to go up steps. So I think that they would avoid it. This is amazing. I'm so happy to see my friend, my long lost friend, Daryl. Hi, Daryl. And hopefully he's going to come a little bit closer so that he comes over and says hello. Well, we don't push him though. I usually let them come towards us. But I wonder if he's going to recognize the sound of my voice. And I'm pretty certain that he used to know me. Every time he'd see me in the beginning, it was always quite awkward. We didn't know each other. He would hesitate. He'd flare his ears at me when I used to try and make the dash to get back into my room. And then it got to the point where he would just sort of smell me and then carry on doing what he did best. Let's go up a bit further, go back a bit, and let's see if we can get a better view. Now, may take some time again. Perhaps he's lost my trust. Maybe he thought that I'd have abandoned him. He probably wouldn't have seen me for some time, and I don't know if anyone else was as fond as Daryl. I think they thought he was a bit of a pain with all the trouble that he caused and all the plants that he ate at the lodge. So the maintenance team and the gardening team didn't enjoy him. Now we're also right at Gowrie Gate, so you're going to see some fences and some houses where the wardens sort of live around here. And it's quite a nice area to feed. It's actually very typical for elephants to do this, is to come around human sort of habitation and feed on the lush vegetation. And he's big enough that he can reach over the top of the fence and feed on any leaves. But I hope he doesn't do that. Because if he accidentally breaks a branch, well, that could fall on the fence, and we don't want the fence to break. But it's him! I'm like a little girl. I'm so excited. Daryl, please come here and say hello. I've missed you so much. Isn't he beautiful? He's a big elephant. You can see the size now compared to those other boys. He'd really dwarf them. I reckon he's coming into about his 40s or so. He's enormous. I don't think he'll get too much larger. Like I said, he's around about 5 tons or so. Now, I know you are all probably wondering and thinking that I'm even more bonkers than what you initially thought. And I know Draw is saying that this is the elephant that comes up to vehicles and is quite naughty, and wondering why I like him so much. Now, Draw, I have a completely different relationship with this elephant. I've never seen him be naughty or nasty, and I spent an entire 1.5 years with him, barring maybe 2 months, so just shy of 1.5 years. And he never gave me an ounce of trouble, even when he was harassing the guests at the lodge. But when I say harassing, I mean, the guests can't go and swim because he's drinking the water from the swimming pool, or no one can get to lunch because he's blocked them in because he's feeding on their pathway type of thing. So, I mean, it's just sort of elephants doing elephant things, eating. And, of course, we as humans have gotten in the way because we built these lodges around them, so we need to let them just carry on with their day. So sometimes we'd have to chase him away, but not ugly. I'd sort of just walk out and show myself to him or whoever was there. And then he'd look at you and he'd ignore you and pretend as though you're not there. And then you'd obviously talk to him, and sometimes what you'd have to do, because if you need to go out on a safari, there's sort of usually only one way to get down to the lodge, and that's on a pathway. And if you're standing at your entrance, well, then you can't really go anywhere. So we would clap our hands, and then they would normally sort of just move off. And then he would go, okay, cheers. One day, though, I got very cross at him, because he'd been around the lodge the entire day, and it was hot, so I don't blame him. He was drinking all the water. He had a nap under one of the big marulas in front of the bar on the lawn. And no one could go to the loos, no one could get back to their rooms, which was great. I think it's an amazing experience. It's something, you want to be able to go back home and say, oh, I was late for my safari, or I'm so sorry that I missed your Skype call, but I was trapped at the lodge because there was an elephant on the pathway. I mean, isn't that just incredible? That's what you want when you come to Africa. And he didn't want to listen, and he didn't want to move, and everyone wanted to go back to their rooms after lunch so they can quickly pick up their cameras and their sunscreen and all that type of thing for the safari. We were all running late, so we had to go out to him, and he didn't want to move. I clapped my hands at him, and he sort of looked at me, and he shook his head, and he says, nah, at the bed he was saying, I'm not going anywhere. And I think I've actually told the story before. So I kicked the ground, basically. So I clapped my hands, and it was quite a sandy area, like the road we're on at the moment. And it was a strange noise. So I kicked the sand, and the sand sort of went all over. And then he was like, whoa, I don't like that very much. And then he did like a little trot away, and then he looked at me again, and he started eating. And then I said, hey, and then he moved off. Then he went and bothered the people at room number 1, which was fine, because at least everybody could get past him and go on the pathway. But he's really never shown me any trouble. I've even seen him when he's been in must. Obviously, you don't view him closely. I probably view him from a distance that we're at the moment. We'd probably be about 50 or 60 meters away from him. And he'd never give us any trouble. He'd never want to drive up to an elephant bull in must, though. And he'd just feed quietly. So I don't know. He just always he was great. But I just love his tusks. He's just such a big boy. He's got beautiful tusks. Like I said, I like the angle at which they're growing. They're growing quite low down rather than curving, sort of up towards the sky. Well, they're starting to curve slightly. I reckon he's going to be a big tusker, and I hope he lives for many, many, many years. This has made my year. Oh, very nice. So I'm going to stick around with Daryl for a little bit longer. I can't wait, and hopefully he's going to move away from whatever he's feeding on. But let's go across to Byron, who's actually got an entire herd of elephants.
We do have a herd, and I'm happy that Taylor got to find that big male elephant for that big bull, because she spoke about it this morning. So it's amazing. Have a look here, everyone. This little one coming close to us. Seems a little bit shy. So, as I was saying, Taylor mentioned this morning that she wants to find this that specific elephant. So I'm very, very happy for her that she got to find it. We've just got this little herd, and we often refer to it as a breeding herd. The females with some of the youngsters. The males do like to move along on their own, as you saw with that bull that Taylor has, or Daryl, as she called him. Don't know if you can call an elephant Daryl, though. I could sit with these elephants for hours, just watching them feeding and just their interaction sometimes with one another. Here comes another one off to our right. Just coming through there. Look at that. Trying to find Some wonderful green leaves there off that knob thorn. You can see the knobs on that tree. Can you see that, everybody? That's called a knob thorn, or an acacia nigrescens. The knob thorn, it's got very sharp thorns, but the elephants don't seem to be don't mind it. I mean, watch that trunk working. It really is incredible. Here comes another little one that's trying to stick its head through just behind. You can see the little legs, and it might come into frame shortly. Will it? No, it seems to be hiding. It's just behind it. There's the trunk. I always find it fascinating. It takes these little elephant about 2 years to learn how to use their trunks properly. This is also one of my very good friends' favorite animals. I hope she's enjoying it this morning. I know she was watching. Love sitting with the elephant too. And especially baby elephants. Watch, you can see how this young elephant isn't quite as comfortable with feeding on the thorny branches of the acacia tree as the adults are. Chews a little slower. I would say this youngster is possibly about 4 years old, 3 to 4 years old, I would guess. Somewhere around there. So still very young, because that elephant next to it is not quite a full-grown adult. So Mystery 154 wants to know, what do elephants like to do after they've eaten? Well, they like to eat some more. They do constantly feed. These elephants, you can imagine, to keep these massive bodies moving, they need a lot of food and a lot of nutrients. And the thing with the elephant is they have a very poor digestive system. They only absorb about 30% of the nutrients from all the food that they eat. So they're constantly feeding. When they're not eating, they're possibly heading towards water and drinking. So the elephants do tend to feed for most of the day. And some of the larger elephants, the big males like Taylor's Daryl that she had over there, he could probably feed on about 250 to 300 kilograms of food a day, which is, what's that, about 500 pounds, 500 pounds, I think, of food. That's incredible. Dispatch Griffin, you've noticed the hair on the elephant, and yes, they are very hairy, surprisingly. And you can see, especially around the face and chin, you'll see these little long hairs around there. Let's see if we can, yeah, there we go. It's amazing what we can see with these cameras nowadays and how clear it is. So they are covered in hair, but very fine hair that we can't often see unless you look closely. But around the chin and the face, they do stand out a little bit more, and they've got those beautiful long eyelashes, very long eyelashes. Let's see if we can see that. Yeah, there we go.